Okay, so starting again, I have Mike, Ranigan, James, David, and Mark on Zoom or on Google Meet, and I have Kimberly, Joe, and Chris here with me. We're going to take a look tonight at chapter 10 of Ben Connelly's book, which is called The Infinite Mirror. I want to read the line from the sutra, but I think it makes more sense if we read the line from last month first, which says, within one mote of dust is contained the 10 directions. And then today's line is, within each phenomenon, it is also thus. So everything is contained. He starts by talking about a Japanese artist who is using a technique that I've seen used several times in art and actually have used myself, and that's to use double mirrors to get a repeating image. In this case, the artist was using a small sort of shed type enclosure with 4 openings, the mirrors on the walls, and 4 openings you could just put your face into. And what you look into and see then is the mirrors repeating everything into infinity. If you've never had the experience of one of these things, it is really quite impressive when you stand in one of them. He uses that then to move us to talking about Empress Wu, the reportedly at least the only female sovereign in the history of China, who claimed her power from the Flower Garland Sutra's main icon, Vairochana Buddha. Well, you may know more about the various Buddhas than I do, but I had to look him up so that I could tell which one he is. And this is what I found. Vairochana Buddha is one of the most profound figures in Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism. Unlike Shakyamuni Buddha, Vairochana is not considered a person who once lived and taught in the world, but rather the embodiment of the universal truth itself. He represents the Dharmakaya, the truth body, which is the eternal and general form of all Buddhas. As such, Vairochana is often referred to as the cosmic Buddha, a being who transcends time and whose presence pervades all existence. Vairochana is often referred to as the cosmic Buddha because he is not bound by form or location. He is the universe itself, both in its physical manifestation and its deeper spiritual essence. According to Mahayana text, Buddhas and sentient beings originate from Vairochana, and their enlightenment is simply realization inherent into the inherent unity with this cosmic truth. This concept can be understood as a mirror. All beings are reflections in a vast mirror, and Vairochana is the mirror itself, boundless, clear, and reflecting everything without attachment. Metaphor teaches us that awakening is not about becoming something new, but realizing our original nature as already and enlightened um, and connected with all of life. So that's Vajrayana Buddha, basically the Dharmakaya. And this is who the Empress Wu used as the source of her power. One of the other things that Ben says is that he recognizes that at the end of the Flower Garland Sutra, there are a number of powerful women, and suggests that that may also have been a part of her authority. This authority was surely related not only to the many powerful female teachers in the chapter, but also the YN idea that each part contains the whole. Then it talks about Fa Zhang, and Fa Zhang was the teacher for the Empress. And as he looked for a way to convey the idea of interdependence, he hit upon this same kind of mirrored room. And she realized that in the endless reflections, she realized the vastness of their relationship. And then after they had spent some time getting used to being in the room, and there was a small Buddha there as well, he took out a small crystal ball. And again, reflected within that crystal ball was all of the stuff on the walls. Kind of the same teaching as the moon and a dewdrop. And again, pressing and helping her to look beyond the obvious. He goes from there to talking about one of the sutras that was included in the Flower Garland Sutra was the Purifying Practice Sutra. And he says that basically it's 150 verses that seem to keep telling you to pay attention to what's right in front of you. That this is where things are going to happen. It's an opportunity to meet the world with the aspiration that everyone be free from suffering. He then gives us an example that takes in the one Dharma, meaning that he quotes Dorothy Day, who was the founder of the Catholic workers' movement. And she said, "We must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. We can be responsible only for one action of the present moment, but we can beg for an increase of love in our hearts that will vitalize and transform all of our individual actions." Let me stop there just for a second, see if anyone has any comments or questions before I move on. Ranigan.
Well, I've read about Dorothy Day. It's been years since I've thought about her, but I read about her a lot many years ago. And what I think is interesting, it hits me all over again right now that our lives are so fast-paced now because of, I think because of the digital world and other things. But I'm like, oh, that's another reason to slow down. Her simple motto is is really something that is like a light bulb to me, even though I hear this all the time, but just hearing it. And that she said it so long ago, and yes, and that they said it hundreds of years ago. So that's helpful.
Mm, indeed. It certainly reminds me of Dogen and wholehearted practice
Yeah.
and being present in that moment and putting everything into it. So thanks, Ranigan. Anything else? Okay. Um, the philosophical basis on which we say that each being is full of the whole universe is that each thing is empty of separateness. So, if you're not separate, then you're connected to everything. Neither this completeness nor this emptiness removes the central Buddhist teaching that what we do matters. So it's still, though all of that is true, what we do matters. A little farther down, he says, Yogacara teachings emphasize that each thing we do plants seeds that create the conditions for our shared world. The way we think, feel, practice, act, and speak all come from conditions and go into further conditions. This is a description of karma. And of course, what he's talking about initially is the alaya vijnana, which is the storehouse consciousness. That's where everything goes that form the seeds of our actions. Yogacara teachings help open the door to the full implications of Huayan. Our karma not only accrues to individuals moving through samsara lifetime after lifetime, but also provides an explanation for why what we do matters for all and why liberation for everyone is possible. Each action has an impact, and each impact contains everything. I kept coming back to that one. I kept thinking about that, and I think I'm going to continue to think about that one for a while yet. I'm going to repeat that sentence. Each action has an impact. We all know what that means. And each impact contains everything. The Yogacara approach invites us to observe and transform the intentional quality of our action. Huayan teachings focus on seeing what is in front of us as so precious that we naturally act in a way that is compassionate and liberating. I think it's corollary to the idea that if we practice, we will naturally express the paramitas and we will naturally do the precepts. That these will grow out of the practice and the understanding of interconnection and no self. Fazang teaches us, I'm sorry, that's not the right place. Okay. I'm sorry. Fazang teaches us that each atom contains everything, and then goes on to teach that if we know this, we will practice four virtues. So the four virtues he tells us we're going to practice if we know this are, first, responding to each moment with compassion, unfettered by conventional norms. Um, and then he goes on to talk about the behavior of a lot of Zen teachers who do things like shout or slap people or hit them with a stick or do some other thing that's meant to wake them up. That is meant to be, non-conventional. I looked at this as talking about skillful means. I was a little amused at the second virtue, which is maintaining dignified, well-regulated, exemplary comment. Fazang explains that this is meticulously following conventional ethical norms, and then says this is an essential antidote for the tendency to go too far with the first virtue. So you can only be so unconventional, apparently. But again, what he's talking about is skillful means. Skillful means can be unconventional, it can be conventional. It certainly has to grow out of our basic values. The third virtue, treating beings gently and harmoniously, honestly and straightforwardly. There's no comment on after that. But I found myself wondering how many people could really agree what those things mean in our current world, but we'll leave it at that. I think we know what they mean.
This is sort of like the first paramita of generosity to help people realize what it is that they really actually need, and to do that with joy and compassion and helping them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The fourth virtue is accepting suffering in place of all sentient beings. This means practice, not for one's sake, but wishing generally to benefit the myriad beings. He then talks about how being an being an addict is what he refers to. I don't know what his substance of choice was. That what he thought was his addiction was his only medicine. And then goes on to say, I've learned a few things from that. Taking care of myself in ways that don't benefit the whole isn't actually taking care of myself. Taking care of others in ways that leave my well-being out is not truly for the benefit of all. So that's chapter 10. Yeah, Joe, please.
I'm just a comment. I have a book on my shelf at home that I read years ago by the Dalai Lama, and I think it's called A Universe in Every Atom. And I just thought of that book when I saw Fazang teaches that each atom contains everything. So I'm wondering the difference between the Mahayana approach of philosophizing around that and the Yogacara approach. So I'll have to go back and reread it because it's been a long time since I hardly remember what the book was about.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a point to do that because I'm this sort of kindled my interest.
Can I put you
did
down?
read Vasubandhu's,
Yogacara. Yeah.
yeah, the Yogacara and the three, whatever the three, what, three somethings.
Three natures.
Three natures, thank you. The three natures and the just the Yogacara book. And that did delve deeply into the philosophy of what is meant here. But I'd like to compare that with the Mahayana.
Okay. So can I write you down for a report next week? Is
No, give me a couple of weeks, next year sometime. But I'll let you know.
Just teasing.
Because I think that's going to be interesting.
Okay.
I have a question also.
Shoot.
On the page before that, page 79 near the bottom. And I've read this so many times, but it always stumps me a little. The Avatamsaka says Bodhisattvas, new sentient beings are empty and have no existence. That part of having no existence always kind of makes me trip. And I'm wondering if it's just a matter of interpretation of what's being conveyed there. Maybe is empty of, they're trying to convey the emptiness of something, but to just say have no existence.
Well, it does sound like nihilism, but
It's saying are empty and have no existence. But yes, it does. It does. Are you reading that any differently, or what do you get out of that?
I think a lot of the older things in particular like this, I tend to give more leeway because I know things don't always mean the same thing. And so I looked at that as simply meaning that they're empty. I don't, although I also don't know with some of the mind-only people whether they would have meant that literally. I don't know. I really am not enough of a scholar of that literature to say that, but I wouldn't be surprised by what there have been people along the way that have kind of said, no, you're not really there. But certainly in the Mahayana at this point, we don't believe that. Rannigan.
Well, I just finished a 4-week course on the Heart Sutra with Busholan, and we talked. I keep going back to the Heart Sutra in regards to what Joe is asking. So, I mean, to say that form is emptiness and emptiness is form, isn't that the same as what they're saying on page 79?
I think that's how I read it, but I understand Joe's question. And Kim, you want to add something to that?
Yes, please. So what I'm noticing is that if we just read the next couple of sentences and just take the whole paragraph into context, it really explains it quite nicely. Can I read it out loud? Sometimes it's just good to read it all together. Let's see here. Where were we? Oh my goodness, I lost my place.
Page 79. Yeah, it's actually the sentences that I had read. Go ahead.
Oh, right here. New sentient beings are empty and have no existence, but do not deny the fruits of action. The philosophical basis on which we say that each being is full of the whole universe is that each thing is empty of separateness. So it has been my habit well over a year now, when I see emptiness is always in our chants and the sutras, I just redirect my head to interconnection. Because we have a tendency in our Western culture to really just kind of like bog down in that word and take it as being literal according to our understanding of it in this particular culture. But that's not really deep down what the translation is. It's my understanding that emptiness equals no separation. And then of course, if anyone else has anything to add to that, and then we can ask Dean and, eventually, so I'm bowing.
Well,
Thank you.
the one thing that I've read recently that was interesting in all of this. I'm sorry. Something that I used to do, and I did this for a period of 6 months, a year. Every time I saw emptiness, the word emptiness, I thought in my head, emptiness of self, because I realized that the concept that was going through my head when I'd hear emptiness was not what it really meant.
Right, and then therefore, emptiness of self means everything's interconnected, right?
Yeah. Now, I'll throw a little bit more into this.
Okay.
And this may have been Shohaku Okamura in Living by Vow, or it may be from Ben Connelly. I don't remember which. He talks about the middle way. But the middle way doesn't mean we're in the middle and cut off the sides. It means we're in the middle and we take in both sides, the whole thing, form and emptiness. And that at one end, the thing that made me stop a bit was he said that at one and the same time, you are looking at everything and affirming and negating it at the same time. That's what the middle way means. Joe.
Thanks for that comment. But it was not emptiness that I was questioning. I get that. It was the
existence.
Have no existence. But in thinking about that, there's the saying, who you are is real. Who you think you are is another matter.
Yes.
It's a pure fabrication. So that is, I think, what's being alluded to here when he says "and has no existence." It's that
It's
who
the
you
illusion.
think you are.
It's the illusion.
It's that who you think you are that has no existence. I'm guessing. I have to.
Aren't we all?
A little teaching here, they skip right over.
Mike.
I think it's Upaya Zen Center. They have a translation of shunyata, or emptiness, as boundlessness.
Yeah.
And for me, that unlocked some of that.
Yes.
So it's such a rich and big old idea that just like I think it was Kimberly was saying that when I read it, I try and go to that place in my mind, particularly in something like this, where it's being put in a different context and kind of entered into through a different side door. So that's been a helpful thing for me from the Upaya folks.
Yeah. I believe that's Kaz Tanahashi's actual translation. And I like that as well. I like his translation of the Heart Sutra, basically. If you haven't seen it, that's something you may want to look up. He's just the use of the different words sometimes can trigger some different thoughts for you. Brannigan?
Oh yeah. I wanted to just say, have a comment on what you said, John, about the middle way, because I once heard in a course that I took about living on the razor's edge, and to me, that's the same as the middle way. And I think at times it's hard to do that, but saying the razor's edge has, it's this is supposed to make our life so much easier in a way, but it is also the challenge to be on the razor's edge, and that's what the middle way, I think, means.
Well, to my way of thinking, the razor's edge would be being in the middle and able to balance those two things.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty much of a razor's edge, I would think. Anything else?
Yeah, I was just going to comment.
Yeah,
that,
Chris, please.
I think it means it's referring to not having a separate self. That as you said, our thoughts about ourselves, that we're separate. So if there's no separate self, then we're automatically interconnected. So those two ideas go hand in hand. They also refer to what we do have is action. So, and this comes up over and over again, is that we're beings who come to life in the present moment and within action. So that's how we're defined. We're defined by what we do. And so Buddhism, over and over again goes, well, we're responsible for our actions. That's the only thing that we have control over. So yeah, no separate self, and we're manifest with, through our actions, which is our karma. And
Absolutely.
We're connected with everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the koan about we can't let go of the branch holding us on the cliff, or we'll fall to the tiger below. We're in this ridiculous position, but you have to do something.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, I guess everybody gets to go home early tonight. We got a few extra minutes. That is fine. We got through the chapter. Everybody seems to understand it perfectly now, and but thank you all for coming tonight. And unless anybody else has anything else, we will chant out. Right? Oh, okay. I vow to myself and to each of you to commit myself daily to the healing of our world and the welfare of all beings, to live on earth more lightly and less violently in the food, products, and energy I consume, to draw strength and guidance from the living earth, the ancestors, the future generations, and my brothers and sisters of all species, to support others in our work for the world and to ask for help when I need it, to pursue a daily practice that clarifies my mind, strengthens my heart, and supports me in observing these vows. Good night, everyone. Hope to see you on Saturday.